Adi, I keep hearing about the century of humiliation in China, but what actually kicked it off? Was it just about losing a war? Or was there more to it?
Oh, it was way more than just losing a war. Imagine your country being forced to sign deals where you lose land, pay huge fines, and foreigners get to break your laws with zero consequences. That's what happened to China in the mid 1800s. Let me take you back to the moment when Britain, France, and others basically carved up China for themselves. And it all started with something called the Unequal Treaties.
Unequal treaties? That sounds ominous. What made them so unequal?
Well, after the Opium Wars, China had to sign treaties that gave up a ton of rights. For example, Britain got Hong Kong in perpetuity forever. Foreigners who committed crimes in China couldn't be tried by Chinese courts, and whole neighborhoods in Chinese cities were run by foreigners, not the Chinese government.
Wait, so if a British person broke the law in China, they just got away with it?
Pretty much. They'd be tried by their own country's officials, not the Chinese. And these concessions inside Chinese cities were like mini foreign countries. It was humiliating for the Chinese government and people.
That's wild. But how did people in China react? Did they just accept it?
Not at all. There was a ton of anger and resistance. One of the most dramatic responses was the Taiping Rebellion, led by a guy named Hong Xiuquan. He was this failed scholar who believed he was the younger brother of Jesus Christ seriously, and he wanted to overthrow the Qing dynasty and create a kind of Christian utopia.
Hold on. He thought he was Jesus' brother and people followed him?
Yeah, millions did. He promised a heavenly kingdom where everyone shared food, land, and money. He banned things like gambling and foot binding, which actually attracted a lot of women to his cause. Some even became military commanders.
That sounds almost progressive. But I'm guessing it wasn't all peace and love?
Far from it. The Taiping Rebellion turned into one of the deadliest conflicts in history. 20 to 30 million people died. There was a lot of violence, looting, and even the leaders, for all their talk about equality, kept huge harems and let their soldiers commit horrible crimes.
That's horrifying. Why don't we hear about this more often? I mean, that's way more deaths than the American Civil War.
Exactly. It's a huge part of Chinese history, but outside China, it's barely mentioned. And here's the thing. The chaos made China even weaker, which let foreign powers push for even more control.
So what did the foreign powers do next? Wasn't there another war?
Yep, the Second Opium War. Britain and France teamed up, and after some fighting, they forced China to open even more ports, let foreigners travel deeper into the country, and pay even bigger fines. They even got the right to set up embassies in Beijing.
And the Chinese government just had to accept all this?
They tried to resist. In 1860, when a British-French team came to negotiate, the Qing court imprisoned and tortured most of them to death. In retaliation, the British and French armies marched on Beijing and burned down the Yuan, the old summer palace, one of the most beautiful places in China.
They just burned it down? Why?
As punishment, but also out of greed. Soldiers looted everything they could: gold, art, books. What they didn't take, they burned. Even some Europeans, like Victor Hugo, were disgusted. He called it banditry and said it was a stain on European civilization.
That must have left a huge scar on China.
Absolutely. The image of those ruins is still taught in Chinese schools as a symbol of foreign humiliation. And after that, China had to sign even more treaties, giving up more land, legalizing the opium trade, and paying even more money.
This all sounds so familiar. I mean, today we still see countries arguing about foreign influence, unfair trade deals, and even who gets to control what happens inside their borders.
Exactly. The legacy of the unequal treaties is a big reason why China is so sensitive about sovereignty and foreign interference today. When you hear Chinese leaders talk about never again, this is the history they're thinking of.
So when there's tension over things like Hong Kong or foreign companies in China, it's not just about politics now. It's about this whole history of being pushed around.
Right. And it's not just China. A lot of countries that were colonized or forced into bad deals still feel the effects today. The patterns, outside powers using economic or legal pressure to get their way, haven't really gone away.
Wow. So the century of humiliation wasn't just about losing wars, it was about losing control, dignity, and even the right to your own laws. No wonder it still matters so much.
Exactly. When we look at debates today about trade, sovereignty, or even cultural pride, it helps to remember stories like this. History doesn't repeat, but it echoes. And understanding those echoes is key to making sense of the world now.
Thanks, Adi. I'll never look at those headlines about China the same way again. It's not just politics, it's personal and it's historical.
That's the power of history. The past shapes how we see ourselves and how we deal with others. And sometimes, knowing the story behind the story is the only way to really understand what's happening today.
That's it for today's episode on Fun Learn Talks, where stories from business, technology, and history keep your curiosity alive. If you enjoyed the journey, make sure to follow, rate, or share it with a fellow curious mind. And hey, we'd love to hear from you. Drop a comment or connect with us online. I'm Anu, and I'll catch you next time, right here on Fun Learn Talks. Until then, keep learning, keep wondering.